So welcome to Call the Financial, and this is a weekly meeting we kind of do, and we're doing it with our top producers, and we have Sal Rizzolo here today, who was somebody that's been around Frank at least for a long time, and now myself for about 3 years, and he was one of our top 10 producers this year, and with a growing branch and growing production, and we're here to kind of talk to Sal about what he's done and how he's done it. So welcome, Sal.
Thanks, Ralph. Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome, bro. I mean, I won't tell anybody that you're my barber based on the couple haircut, but that's how Sal met many moons ago.
It all went downhill after I came to the business.
Absolutely. So just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the incredible things that Sal's been able to do here at Cardinal and in the business in general, or in business in general, I should say, because he's worn many hats in his young career. Everything from a realtor to mortgage professional to a top producer and a team leader. So give us a little bit of insight on how you got there, to the audience that's out there, to the guys that are maybe aspiring to be where you're at, or maybe insight as to where you're looking to go from here.
Yes. I mean, everyone's always asking, where it started or how it starts. And I was lucky enough to start before I knew I was starting. So anybody that would like advice in retrospect, your network is more important than anything. And I had a network before I got into the real estate business, the mortgage business, anything. So I used to cut hair. And that's where, when I got into the mortgage business and I sat, down the hall from you, I had 600 or 700 phone numbers in my phone. So that was important. So whether or not you're planning on getting into anything that involves, sales or business or management or anything, talking when you're out, meeting new people, maintaining relationships from any level at any business, about anything, I think is what got me to where I am. And I was lucky enough that it worked out that way before I even, knew it was happening.
And I think, one of the things Ralph and I talk about all the time, confidence is key, right? So you could be either a
terrible barber.
Yeah. Well, listen, you could be a subject matter expert, and that's where you get your confidence from, right? Some people come in and they want to study guidelines and textbooks and stuff, and that's okay, but it's going to take a while. Or you could just be confident in your ability to be, true to who you are and not a BS artist, right? So just because you're in sales doesn't mean you have to be that sleazy, salesy kind of guy. And I think one of the things that you do that's really special, both to cultivate your team and your business, is, you tell it like it is, right? So if a borrower can't qualify for a home, you educate them on why and how they're going to get to the next level, as opposed to death and figuring it out later. Maybe that's because of some of the things we put together here at Cardinal. Maybe that's just because of your experiences, but speak to that a little bit.
So, I mean, I tell people, the story of when I purchased a house, and it took a little bit over 2 years to purchase a house. Right. And you roll your eyes, and you were never on the phone with me. Shout out to Peter Domingo. But, so, I went through 2 years of dealing with something that, it was a process. It wasn't anyone's fault, but just the type of deal I was in. And, I got a mortgage through you guys before I worked for you guys. And I tell people all the time, I was I was in your situation. I was unable to get a house, or I needed to jump through, flaming hoops. And the guys that helped me do it are the guys that taught me how to help you do it. So, you can't be in any better hands. And that's kind of a soft spot for me. So when somebody has a long road ahead or something that, they need to work towards it, it might not be me personally. It might be someone on my team now at this point, but, we don't toss away, people with situations for low hanging fruit. And, we're starting to see the benefits of that, starting 6 months or a year ago from when we got into business 2, 3, 4 years ago. And those are the people that refer you out. Those are the people that really appreciate what you do for them. It's, it's not the one-offs that come in and disappear. It's, people that you help and people that you actually make a difference for. So if it, it was done for me, and I remember what it did, I came to work for you because of what you did for me, so I know what it means for that to be done for you. So it's, it's easy to want to do it for other people.
Yeah. And you kind of out of the cloth to me and Frank the same. You don't really have a background, anything in this business, and you don't really have any kind of formal training. I think all three of us share that. And you've done a lot with effort, right? Like with effort and just using your network, like you've said. Like, can you speak to that just as far as being in this business, maybe even being in the system, like just doing stuff consistently every single day in the system? Like, how has it changed your business and your life, really?
Yeah. So, I used to always make fun of like the sayings, network is net worth and consistency is key. And it was always just, but there's a reason that those things exist. And the more that, you might not even realize that you're doing it, But when your phone rings 4 or 5 times a day from the same bar, or even if you can only answer for 5 minutes, or you let them know that, you're going to call them back. I've been told that, it's crazy. You don't work like other loan officers. You actually answer your phone, and to be told in a business where everyone thinks you're doing something amazing, and then being told by professionals like, yeah, I just use Sal because he answers his phone. Like, that's insane. Right.
Yeah.
So depending on what's expected of you, or what you're trying to put out for yourself, or for me, I should say, the good news, the bad news, the indifferent, the guy that's going to chew your ear off about 45 minutes that the deal might not go anywhere, or, those people, every phone call matters. Every phone call counts. And if you stay on the phone, when you get off the phone, you catch up with what you missed and you just get through the whole day. Frank will tell you, we talk about it all the time. I'm winding down around 9 and 9:30. I'm answering last minute texts or stuff that I missed throughout the day, but being consistent and maintaining every line of communication that was attempted throughout the day, I think it sets you worlds apart from other people in this business.
And because of that, I would assume you're probably chained to your desk at this point then, right?
Lead up question. No, so luckily, and this is the same thing. Me and Frank went back and forth about this a lot of times, because, I was the last person that wanted to hire anybody. I said, no, I could do it all myself. What's the point? I could do it all myself. And, you work 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 years or 4 years. And it's, and it's great. And then you start to feel like, maybe this thing never slows down. And if I don't do something about it, this is going to be my entire life. And you go from bragging about being such a hard worker to being like, I'd like to be on vacation once in a while. I'd like to see the sun. I'd like to get on a plane here and there. So, we talk about this all the time too. At Cardinal, everything is remote. Everything could be done from wherever you are, whether you're on vacation. My laptop's worked overseas. My laptop's worked on the plane. I get things done wherever I am. And if I need to be somewhere for an event and it's 3 hours away by plane, I can go the same day and come back. And it's just, I'm on a plane in front of a computer instead of at a desk in front of a computer. Having the team that I have definitely helps that. And, we have 7 or 8 producing loan officers at this point, 4 processors that are, well-versed and know what's going on and can help push files when we're not around. So it's not all me anymore. But it's, everybody has a quality of life that, nobody in the mortgage business will even talk about, because it's almost embarrassing of, how crazy it is out there, and how little we get to enjoy ourselves in the real estate industry.
Yeah. And along those lines, like, you're here for years now. And when you first got, when I first met you, when you came here, you were not the person you are today as far as production goes, right? So how did your production go from almost nothing to what you did last year, and now you have 7 producing loan officers? Like, not only are you a high level producer yourself, but you grew a team. What do you think was the biggest tool or aspect of that got you to that level?
So, so Frank and I have just started exploring like actual concrete plans and ways to do things. When I was doing 2 loans a month, Frank would sit me down and say, this is great, but deals aren't just going to keep falling out of the sky. And then 4 deals a month, deals are not just going to keep falling out of the sky. And we got to 20, 25 deals a month with deals just falling out of the sky. And I've learned that my theory is that it trails back to answering the phone. It trails back to being consistent. And, word of mouth is the strongest referral. You can come up with new plans and how to generate new business. But, when we started and I was doing 2 loans a month, I never had a spreadsheet. I never had, I never had a pipeline. I never had anything. I was doing 2 deals. I was cutting hair and doing 2 deals, and, and trying to figure out where the next deal was coming from. I think it was around like 2 to 3 million when I started, working with 2 to 3 million in volume. I had a pipeline. I created a spreadsheet. I made sure that it was mobile. I made sure that it transferred from my laptop to my computer. And every time I updated it, it updated across all platforms. And, I remember sitting down with Frank when we started our branch in Melville. And he said, everything has to be detailed and everything has to be treated like you're going to scale it. And you said the same thing to me 2 months ago when I asked you about Airbnb. He said, that's great. You got 1 house, treat it like you're going to have 100, right? So I teach everybody that works with me, for me, around me, next to me, and everybody that, how do you originate 5, 6, 7 million a month and your team does 10 and you manage and you're doing this and you're buying this and you're going here and you're going there. But it starts with organization, and it has to start with organization, because if it doesn't start with it, you're never going to get to the point where you even need it.
Oh, and I think that that's key. And one of the things that we work hard at every day, and it's a constant process, is, quality of life and scalability, because usually, especially in this business, that's a trade-off, right?
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
You can only do one or the other. You could either grow a team and be chained to your desk, or you could have your freedom, but you don't really have, anyone around you to help or that you are helping. So what we put in place here, and I think you utilize it very well, is the ability to do both, right? So you're able to bring, real producers in underneath you and alongside of you that can learn from you and expand. It's not just, as I call it, collecting souls, right? You're not just hiring people for the sake of hiring people. They're all better because they're around you, and you're better because you're around them. And I think that is the level that a lot of people, especially in the local market, are struggling with, right? I mean, you guys both. It's the same story.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that work at different banks, and we talk all the time, and here at Cardinal, we talk as a team, and we talk as managers, and then we speak to other people that are at other banks that are either trying to do the same thing, or they're reverting from what they were trying to do because now now they have to lay people off or whatever the case is. But it's almost one of those conversations where you feel bad telling them like how good it is, because how bad it is somewhere else.
They don't believe you.
Yeah, right. Or they don't believe you. When somebody says, "Oh, I made this," and then you say, "Oh, I made this," it almost sounds like you're lying. You don't even want to say it. So when we have a pipeline that moves itself, or we have loans that, we had 4 loans clear to close today that are closing today that were monthly targets because they needed to be. So everything was prioritized, everything was bumped up. That doesn't happen in other places, and they'll say it does, but it takes, it could take 4 to 6 days for it to happen. So, and then I've always had you guys to fall back on too, which, I would never downplay. So, I know there was a time, I remember I was sick and I messaged you, and you have, 100 things on your plate. And I said, Frank, these 3 loans need to close. And I don't know which way is up. I can't, I'm sick, I'm throwing up. And you're like, I'll figure it out. And then the emails just start coming in, and, where does that happen? And I've been in places where I know it doesn't happen. So,
No, and listen, we do it, either we fail or succeed together. And that's part of it. And the culture that we've bred, Ralph and I and Cardinal in general, and it's, permeating to your branch and others. And it's good to see, because now the outside world is starting to see what we see every day. And it's affecting our relationships with, from builders to agents, to listing agents, to new recruits. So it's really working, and it's testament to you guys. So you are the quintessential success story to what we're looking to build. Someone that, again, 3 years ago was not in the business. Sal was a realtor at that point. He did 0 mortgages. He did not want to do mortgages. He was introduced to the mortgage business as a consumer direct loan officer doing streamline leads, and 4 months into realizing how easy that was, the rates went through the roof and there was no streamline business left. So he decided to be a realtor. And it wasn't until we got to Cardinal and we got the technology and the tools to really put this stuff in motion that he saw the scalability and financial gain that could come from building a business. Kudos to you for doing it, man. You talked about it and you executed on it, and I won't stop harassing you until you continue to grow it. So don't think this phone call means that you're not going to get the nightly phone calls about how we can push it, 10% more next month.
Oh no, trust me, I know. But that's another reason why. I mean, just to touch on one more thing. I mean, we've had these conversations and we've had calls, and I was working next to John at United when John was doing 3 million a month, and looking at Jay, and Jay was doing 5 million a month. And, and then it was the same thing inside the bank that we used to work at. Like, loan officers were doing a loan or 2 loans a month, and they either wouldn't believe that we were doing what we were doing. And 4 to 5 million a month was considered phenomenal and unable to attain. And the emails were going out like, you missed 2. We could have hit 6. What were you doing? Now you're rolling. And you joke around about it, or you're like, oh my God, like how can this much be expected of me? And then before you know it, you have 15 million in targets for what's supposed to be the slowest month in 3.5 years. And that's where we're at going into March. So it's always appreciated. We go back and forth, but we know it's for our benefit. That's for sure.
Hustle and grind, baby. Hustle and grind. And I do see Taking a page out of Ralph's book, I see some good social media presence and podcast team. So I know you guys are not only working on the loans, but also working on your personal brands as well. So
yeah, that comes, that goes a long way. And for me, like, I don't market, I don't advertise, I don't spend money on Google, I don't spend money on anything except maintaining an Instagram and a Facebook. And, the people that used to know me, or, knew me in high school, they know I do loans. The people that are meeting me in the industry know I do loans. And that's, just staying in people's faces and having a social media presence, whether you like it or not, because I don't, I really don't like being in front of the camera. It's, it's hard to, it's either that or the penny savers. So
you're doing a good job with it, and you're right. You're just maintaining your brand. So, and I think that your brand, from what you said before, is really maintained by the quality of work you put out there more than anything. So it's appreciated. So you've done an amazing job over the last 3 years. Not that I want to compliment you too much, because 3 years from now, hopefully you'll be double where you are right now. But
Frank and Ralph said, I'm good. I'm good where I am. I never have to do anything else.
Logging out for the week.
Yeah.
Go relax.
Good stuff, man. Well, finish up the month strong. We appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing. Awesome. Really, really great progress, both personally and professionally. And hopefully you're enjoying it as much as we are seeing you develop this way.
Likewise. Thanks again, guys, for everything.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, guys.